story I'm going to call Living Vicariously Through Your Kids, starring Mr. Dwayne Wade. And I've been looking at Dwayne Wade, lately, and how he's been moving. And I wonder, has he been trying to tell us something about himself? Dwayne was an NBA star who played for the Miami Heat and starred alongside LeBron James during the Miami Heat's championship run during the 2010s. But lately, he's been in the news regarding his 16-year-old son/daughter, who he allowed to come out as trans in 2020 at the tender age of 12. I've seen Dwayne go from looking like a dapper young man into subsequent years starting to look like what you're about to see. And when I see this transformation in Dwayne, I wonder, when he saw his 12-year-old son exhibiting somewhat of feminine characteristics, did he hearken back to a time when he was this young man's age and he wanted to exhibit these same characteristics? Maybe he was too ashamed, or he felt like he would be ostracized as a result. In Proverbs, it says, "Folly is bound in the heart of a child." In other words, children don't make prudent decisions. Children should not be allowed to make adult decisions that could alter their lives for the rest of their lives. It is a parent's job to train, nurture, direct, and guide a child's steps up until they're adults, where the child is mature enough to make adult decisions. And I don't think a young person at 12 years young should be making any decisions on their sexuality, nor should a parent allow a child to make such decisions. Which brings us back to Mr. Dwayne Wade, who not only allowed this to happen, but encouraged this behavior despite the child's biological mother's wishes for this not to happen. He encouraged his son to embrace this lifestyle at 12 years old. And this lifestyle should be reserved, in my opinion, to be chosen by adults, because this is an adult decision to make any alterations or changes to your sexuality, to your body, or anything else for that matter that a 12-year-old child should not be making the decisions on. And I feel like Mr. Wade has put his son out there in the public to live vicariously through his son so that he can embrace all of the unrepentant, repressed feelings bottled up inside of him. So he is going to have his underage child become the spokesperson for a movement reserved, in my opinion, for adults. Well, Mr. Wade went on the Ellen DeGeneres show to discuss his child coming out. He discussed his feelings along with his current wife, Ms. Gabrielle Union, and their feelings on it. They're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
For being here. That was a clip from the ESPN documentary. And first of all, I think it's what every parent should be, is what you're being right now, which is unconditionally loving your child and supporting your child in whoever they are.
Do you hear everybody clapped on that? You should love your kids unconditionally, which means without restrictions or qualifications. You owe your kid a debt of responsibility to provide, protect, and nurture them until such time that they are able to do those things for themselves. But you do not owe them your unconditional support. Have you ever heard the term unconditional support? No, you never have, and you never will, because you don't support someone unconditionally. You do support them in their endeavors to build a character. You do support them in endeavors to strengthen their goals and their morals. But you just don't support a kid, or anyone for that matter, in just anything that they want to do. Let me just go on with this.
I mean, there are so many parents that are just, oh, you're not going the way I imagined or wanted you to be, and freak out, and you're so loving and supportive of Zaya, and what a special child she is.
Yes, she is. Thank you so much for that.
Did you see that? They're referring to a young man that's 12 years old. His name's Zion. They're referring to her as Zaya. And you noticed that when she said, she gave Dwayne Wade a compliment, he said, "Thank you for that." I mean, this is more about Dwayne Wade than it is about his young son, Zion Wade. I mean, this guy is really loving this attention because, like I said, deep down inside, this guy really wants to be where Zion or Zaya is right now. And what they're referring to this young man as a she. I mean, at the age of 12, this is crazy. I digress. Let's go ahead.
First of all, me and my wife Gabrielle Union, we are.
You notice he gave that plug for Gabrielle Union, you know. And let me say this real quickly. This might be controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. You know, not every step parent that comes into your child or comes into these kids' lives mean them any good. And I'm gonna let you ponder on that for a second. When we go out here and we find these people and we bring them into our children's lives, we really need to vet them very, very well, because like I said, you know, you get these people and they're pushing their own agendas with your children, and they just don't mean any good to your kids. I've seen this in many cases where these step parents come in and they claim that they love you and they claim that they love your kid, and they're physically abusive to the kids, verbally abusive to your kid, and they treat your kid as a second-class citizen. So we really need to watch. You know, we really need to watch what we bring into our kids' lives as step parents, and really, you know, make sure that person is in our kids' lives for the right reason. Now, and I will say this. Let me digress for a second. There are some righteous step parents that, you know, who treat, to me, the stepchild as well, if not better than their actual biological kids. And for those people, I mean, I take my hat off to you. You get the parent award for that. But, you know, all too often that, you know, many of these people come into our children's lives with agendas. So you really got to watch that. You really need to watch it.
Proud, when I say proud, we are proud parents of a child in the LGBTQ plus community, and we're proud allies as well.
Did you hear that? He said we're proud allies as well. I mean, that's what this is about. I mean, you're sitting up here saying that your 12-year-old child is part of a community. The only community he should be a part of is the community that you live in, and he should be a part of the YMCA. He's 12 years old. He should not be even talking about sexuality or anything of that nature. You shouldn't even be bringing that up to a 12-year-old. And this is my opinion. You know, if you don't like it, I understand. But this is my opinion. You know, you pay the bills at your house. You pay the mortgage. When that young man clicks on a switch in that house and the lights come on, that's your lights. When he turns on a faucet, it's your water. The bed that he lays in is yours. So you should be the leader of that house. It shouldn't be about you letting a 12-year-old join a particular community that's reserved for adults and not children. But, you know, this is the society that we live in now. We live in a society where people applaud stupidity. They applaud this type of parenting. And now if someone tells their children to sit down, be quiet, stay in the place of a child and don't talk back, oh, that's a parent that's archaic, and he or she should be condemned for their actions. But anyway, let's move on.
And we take our roles and our responsibility as parents very seriously. So when our child comes home with a question, when a child comes home with an issue, when a child comes home with anything, it's our job as parents to listen to that, to give them the best information that we can, the best feedback that we can. And that doesn't change because sexuality is now involved in it. So once Zaya, 12-year-old, came home, and first Zion, I don't know if everyone knows, originally named Zion born as a boy, came home and said, hey, so I want to talk to you guys. You know, I think going forward, I'm ready to live my truth. And
what would be your truth? What would be a 12-year-old's truth? Yeah, your truth is you get up in the morning when I wake you up, you wash your face and you brush your teeth, you put on your clothes, I fix you breakfast, and you go to school. You come home from school, you have your afternoon snack, you do your homework, you do your chores, and you take your ass to bed. That's it. That's what a 12-year-old should be calling. First of all, a 12-year-old can't call a meeting in my house that I pay the bills in anyway. You don't need to talk to me about anything. But let's just say he does want to talk to you about something. It's not going to be about me calling you any kind of a female or me calling a female a male. That's crazy.
want to be referenced as she
Mm-hmm.
and her.
Nope.
I would love for you guys to call me Zaya.
That's not going to happen.
Now it's our job to, one, go out and get information, to reach out to every relationship that we have. My wife reached out to everybody on the cast of Pose.
Did you hear that? Now, your son comes home, and I'm not saying the young man is in a confused state, because maybe at 12 years old, he thinks that he wants to be a woman, or a young lady, or a girl. He doesn't want to be a boy. Instead of you reaching out to a professional behavioral psychologist or some type of psychiatrist for yourself and for your wife and for your young son, you decide that you want to talk to all of your friends and all of the cast members of a particular show that your wife is a part of. I mean, this is just silly. This is the epitome of stupidity for a man. That son comes home and tells him he wants to be identified as a female. For you now to go to your wife and all of your friends, supposedly, and cast members and all these pansexuals in Hollywood, and you want them to give you advice, parenting advice. And these people probably have more problems than you two put together. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on.
We're just trying to figure out as much information we can to make sure that we give our child the best opportunity to be, her best self.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that it's one thing.
Did you hear what people clap on? To give our child the best opportunity for her to be herself. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And look at this picture. You have a stepmom proudly displaying this, and you have a family of people displaying this and supporting a child becoming trans. This is too much.
It's one thing to have this at home, but knowing that she's going to be out in the world because you're a public figure, even if you weren't, she's going to school, and to want to be protective and to make sure she's safe.
Yes.
That must be a scary thing, because it's one thing for you to love her and your wife to love her, but you just want everyone to love her the same way.
Exactly.
See, that's the whole point of this movement. This movement is for everybody to accept and love them the way they want to be loved. Because, how can I say this? For many people in a certain community, they don't feel loved, they don't feel accepted, they don't think you accept their choice of mate. And at the end of the day, you shouldn't, if you instill the right morals and beliefs into your child, it doesn't matter what other people say. But you see, that's why I say that this decision should not even be made by a child. It should be made by an adult, because by the time you're of an adult stature, you care less about what people say about you if you want to be whatever you want to be. If you want to, quote unquote, as he said, live his truth, then you can live your truth as an adult. And then you can deal with the consequences of living your life as an adult. But the fact that you want people to love you, people are not going to love you regardless if you're heterosexual, homosexual, if you're gay, if you're straight. And kids are going to be cruel anyway. Come on, we all went to school, and you didn't have to dress as a little boy to be teased. A little girl dressed as a little boy to be teased, and vice versa. You got teased for all kinds of stuff as a child. You got teased for your hair, for your out-of-style clothes. I got teased for my glasses, my Coke bottle glasses. So there's always someone as a child ready to tease another child. So I don't even know why we're bringing love, and we're talking about preteen children. I don't even know why we're bringing love up, love and acceptance. Love and acceptance is not something that kids practice anyway. Kids practice what they're taught at home. Kids are only very superficial in their, how can I say this? Kids are very superficial in their ability to even ascertain or understand what the meaning of the word love even is. They're children. Give me a break. And all these people that are in this community, all they talk about is love and acceptance. I want to be loved and I want to be accepted. Love yourself. Accept yourself for who you are. Don't worry about what other people think and how they feel. Do you. And Ellen, for her to even bring this up when you're talking about a middle school kids, It's far and beyond what it should. Anyway.
And once Zion came home and said, "Hey, you called me Zion, and I'm ready to take on this."
No, I'm not going to call you Zaya. You're 12. I'm going to call you Zion. And that's the way it's going to be. I pay the bills. I pay your mortgage. The bed that you live in, the bed that you sleep in, I bought. The house that you live in, I bought. The car that you ride around in, I bought. This is a dictatorship right now. This is not a democracy. You can't come home and tell me. See, it used to be a time when we grew up, and I want all you old school people. Now, all these people born in the 90s and the 2000s with this new parenting dynamic, you just follow me for a second. But all you old school people, I'm talking about people born in the 60s, 70s, and even the 80s, and people raised by your grandparents. It used to be a word or some words that were said when grown folks was talking. You stay out of grown folk business. And now who all remembers this? You stay in a child's place. You got told when you said something, no, you stay in a child's place. But nowadays, we're letting these kids come home and just tell us whatever they want to tell us. So let me move on with this.
I looked at it and said, "You are a leader."
I'm gonna rewind that. And let it play all the way through because he just told you how he felt. That's why I said living vicariously through your kid.
You called me Zion, and I'm ready to take on this. I looked at it and said, "You are a leader. You are a leader, and it's the opportunity to allow you to be a voice." Right?
See, that's what it is right there. You just heard it. He said, "You're our leader. You're our leader. Our leader." He just made a 12-year-old a leader. You see that? He just made a 12-year-old a leader. And he doesn't even lead his own house. He wants this young man to lead a movement. And what him and his wife are doing is they're basically the front. They're basically the front for a 12-year-old kid. He really wants to lead this movement. He really wants to be where his young son Zion is right now, but he can't. Maybe because of the public backlash, maybe because of the scrutiny, or maybe because deep down inside, he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to lose what he's already built over all these years. So he's going to be willing to use his son. His son is now the leader, a 12-year-old, somebody who probably couldn't even lead the student council in middle school. He's now the quote-unquote leader of the LGBTQ plus community. You can't make this shit up. You just can't make this shit up.
Right now it's through us because she's 12 years old, but eventually it will be through her.
Right. You see what he said? It's through us right now, but eventually it'll be through her. So he's enjoying this. Don't ever get this twisted, people. He's enjoying this time where he can be looked at as the leader of a community. And he can really make some money and capitalize on his own son. And see, that's what the mother was saying. If your son or daughter was this way, why do you want to publicize it so much? Why do you want to broadcast it so much? Why do you want to put this on Front Street? You want to put this on Front Street because it brings you joy. It brings you monetary benefit. That's why you want to do it. Look how Ellen's looking at him. She's looking like you're such a great parent. No, you should be looking at him like you're such a horrible parent. A horrible parent that would allow your child to come home and let you know that he wants to be called a girl and change his name to a girl name, and you support that, and then you actually go to a courthouse and legally change his name and his gender to make him non-binary, which is just some more foolishness from this stuff. But anyway, it is what it is.
Well, and Listen is an organization you're working with, and there's a lot of, if anybody else out there can relate to this and needs help, you can go to our website and we can direct you, because I'm sure there are a lot of people that just don't know what to do. Yeah. So you're a great example.
Thank you.
I know that
you're a horrible example.
Everybody is still grieving over the loss of Cook.
Yeah, okay, they're just going into some other stuff right now, but just kind of wanted you to see. I'm going to show you another clip of him winning some kind of award. Maybe it's an NAACP award or something. But anyway, I'm going to show you that here in just a second.
It's not easy. I watched you walk out of that house every morning as yourself.
Yeah, you watched him walk out of that house every morning as himself, in a dress, pit bull eyelashes, weave, and you let him walk out the door like that. Okay.
I admire how you've handled the ignorance in our world. I admire you.
I mean, and why would you let a kid, why would you even say that about a young man of 12 years old? You admire the ignorance of this world. This man is 12 years old, going to, or 13 or wherever he is at this age, 14, going to school, going to middle school, trying to have a normal middle school life. And you're putting the weight of the world on his shoulders. And look at Gabrielle. Just people. Remember what I said about step parents and how they use your kids to their benefit. They have the ability, to use your kids for their benefit.
Wade delivers a passionate speech at the 2023 NAACP Image Awards. The retired NBA star praises his 15-year-old daughter Zaya while accepting the President's Award with his wife Gabrielle Union.
Now he praises his 15-year-old daughter. He praises his 15-year-old daughter. He's literally changed this young man's gender to a female and is praising it. This is not about that young man Zion. This is about Dwayne and Gabrielle Union, putting themselves out there to monetize this young man, because there's no reason that you should be promoting this kind of stuff for your child. I mean, even if your child were anything else, I mean, I don't want to say heterosexual. He's too young to be whatever, but he's a heterosexual young man just doing whatever. I mean, you're not even trying to put any privacy in your family or anything.
Thank you for showing me that there's more than just one way to communicate effectively. You taught me that communication with my mouth isn't enough. I have to also communicate with my 2 ears and my 2 eyes.
I mean, listen to that nonsense. That was just a bunch of gibberish. I have to listen. I have to communicate not only with my mouth, but with my 2 ears and my 2 eyes. Who wrote that? You can tell he's with a teleprompter. Who wrote that nonsense? This is just more gibberish and more nonsense. But you see how he's mesmerized and captivated the NAACP audience with this nonsense. Let's keep on.
He calls Zaya an example of courage for the world.
Wow. Got him on a cotillion dress.
You made me a better human just simply by being who you were born to be. Our baby girl.
A baby girl.
15-year-old who came out as transgender in 2020 has been open about facing hateful
Look how Dwayne look. I mean, this is about Dwayne, but go ahead.
Comments online. In his speech, Dwayne praises Zaya for the way she's handled her journey.
Zaya is your father.
He says he's getting hateful speech online. Well, that's because he shouldn't be online. First of all, you shouldn't have put a 12 or 13 year old shouldn't even have an Instagram and Snapchats and TikToks and all of this kind of thing. He shouldn't even be out there. Whether he was just what we consider the quote unquote, I guess a heterosexual or normal kid. I don't know if you want to call that normal or normalcy, but if he was just a regular kid, you shouldn't have him out there online. And if he's a transgender kid, you shouldn't have him out there online. This is just public promotion for you, Dwayne.
Father, all I've wanted to do is get it right. I've sat back.
Well, you got it wrong.
Gracefully and taken on the public scrutiny. And even though it's not easy, I watched you walk out of that house every morning as yourself. I admire how you've handled the ignorance in our world. I admire.
Yeah.
What about the ignorance in his house? What about the ignorance of letting him do what he wants to do and come home and have a talk with you and tell you to start calling him a female and you agree with it? And not only do you agree with it, you go down to court and change all of his identity to make him a female. And this picture right here says it all. I mean, this is poor parenting 101. I mean, if maybe 101 and 102, 2 semesters of it. Dwayne Wade, his wife Gabby, and a little girl, her little daughter in a dress. Okay, a dress. His older son, Zaire, nice looking little young lady with him. And then you have what is his son Zion, and he has his arm around some other young man. At the end of the day, this is not even proper in my house. Why would you let a 12 or 13-year-old be dating, whether they would be dating a little young lady or a young man? This is ridiculous. This is poor parenting. He's got his hand wrapped around someone at 12 or 13 years old. And this is acceptable. Oh my God. You just can't make this up. Just cannot make this up. But anyway, let's just go on with this.
The athlete also reflects on his own growth as a father of 5 and what he strives to achieve in that role.
As your father, my job isn't to create a version of myself or direct you.
Yes, it is. He's creating the version of himself, the version he always wanted to be.
Your future. My role is to be a facilitator to your hopes, your wishes, your dreams.
See how people clap behind ignorance? Then your job is not to be a facilitator with your kids. You are to direct your kids. You are a parent. You are supposed to direct your kids. You don't facilitate their growth. You don't facilitate them. You actually are a parent. You direct them. Let me give you an example. I mean, if your kid 6 or 7 years old wakes up crying one morning and says he doesn't want to go to school, he doesn't like school, do you make him go to school? Or do you let him stay home and say, well, you know what? My 7-year-old's made a decision that he doesn't believe in education. He doesn't want education. So I'm not going to make him go to school. If your child decides for whatever reason he doesn't want to do something that's, I guess, he doesn't accept, but of course it's a social norm for everybody else to do you just let him do it? No, you don't. You have to direct your child. If your child doesn't want to go to school, what if your child is 1 year old, 2 years old, and decides he doesn't want to get potty trained? You just let him go. You say, nah, you know what? You don't have to be potty trained right now. You can just keep on going, and maybe one day you'll see fit to just get rid of the diaper on your own. No, you have to direct your kid. You have to direct your kid. It's not a facilitation when it comes to children. But anyway, I digress. I'm talking about a diaper and kid. Let's go on.
Dwayne's impassioned speech comes on the same day that Zaya was granted a legal gender and name change, per documents obtained by E! News. Prior to this official move, Dwayne petitioned the court on Zaya's behalf in August 2022.
You petitioned to have his name changed, and that was on the day you got the NAACP awards. And just look at this. Just look. Look at this. This picture says it all. This picture says everything it needs to say. Everything it needs to say. And I know some of you people aren't going to like it, but if you don't like it, you can leave. I'm going old school on some of you people at this point. I'm just going to go old school. See, because what we got told was if you don't like the rules and the regulations of this house, you don't have to be here, you can leave. And if you don't like the rules and regulations of this channel, you can leave. I have no problem with it. Just like I was told when I was growing up, small house and a big world. I got to talking crazy to my mom one time. She said, listen here, small house and a big world. So some of you parents need to tell your kids, small house, big world. Y'all will get that later on. Anyway, subscribe, like, comment, and share. I'm out of this. This story's wild.
Happy holidays. Merry New Year. Y'all have a great day. It's a great feeling to be back.
Ow!